Hey everyone, it's Alex, and I am here with another video update for the 90th Academy Awards, this time going over the 10 semifinalists for Best Visual Effects. Now, a while ago, I posted a video of the original 20 contenders for Best Visual Effects, and from the 20 contenders, they narrow it down to 10 semifinalists, and from these 10 semifinalists, 5 of them will become the official Oscar nominees for Best Visual Effects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the 10 semifinalists as well as share my predictions for what I think will be nominated and why. So without further ado, here are the 10 semifinalists for Best Visual Effects. Alien Covenant, Blade Runner 2049, Dunkirk, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Kong Skull Island, Okja, The Shape of Water, Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, War for the Planet of the Apes. So one of the films I think will be nominated, and I'm just going to list them off alphabetically, is Blade Runner 2049. The visuals in that are stellar, and it would be following in the footsteps of the original Blade Runner, which although did not get that many Oscar nominations, one of the nominations it did get was for Best Visual Effects. And the visual effects in Blade Runner 2049 were quite fantastic. They blended in very well. I don't know how much was CGI and how much was practical, although I'm sure a large part of it was probably CGI, but it worked great. It didn't look weird or out of place. Hey, Baywatch, take some notes. And it just added to the look and feel of the movie that it needed to work as well as it did. The next I think that will be nominated is The Shape of Water. So we're going quite further down on the list, and even though this doesn't have a lot of action and explosions and other things you would normally associate with a visual effects movie, the Oscars are known for nominating films that aren't necessarily what you would consider a visual effects film, but when you see up and close how the visual effects played a key role, then you understand why. Films like Forrest Gump, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Life of Pi, those aren't necessarily what many people would think of when you use the term visual effects film. But if you look at the behind-the-scenes history of those films, you know just how much the visual effects played a role in those films. And that's the same thing with The Shape of Water, because they do a brilliant blend of makeup and CGI to help create the look of Doug Jones's amphibian creature that is the central part of the movie. And plus, The Shape of Water is poised to be the biggest Oscar contender right now, and it's considered by many to be the best picture frontrunner. So, there you go. Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi, of course, that's a very obvious one. It's Star Wars, and the only Star Wars film that was not nominated for Best Visual Effects was Revenge of the Sith. So, got the history of the category, plus Rian Johnson continuing J.J. Abrams' tradition of combining both practical and CGI effects. Everything looks fantastic. Like, you can't really tell too much of what's completely practical, what's completely CGI. They blended in really well. I can't really discuss too much without giving away spoilers, but I'm sure most of you watching this video have probably already seen The Last Jedi, but just for those who haven't, I'm not going to go into specific details about certain scenes, but let's just say they're done very well, and they help add to the story, and they help create the atmosphere that the film takes place in, and just overall create a magnificent, thrilling experience. Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, I'll admit this is probably an outlier choice, because I don't know how strong of a chance it does have it being nominated. However, a lot of the films in this category aren't necessarily films that are going to be nominated for Best Picture. I mean, the first and third Transformers films were nominated in this category, and admittedly Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets didn't have the best critical reception. It has like a 50-something on Rotten Tomatoes, so it got mixed reviews from critics. So it's technically rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, but certainly much more well-received than Transformers. And one of the best things about Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets is the visual effects. I admit I myself thought the film was mediocre, but the visual effects, I'll admit, were quite dazzling, and it's obvious that they spent a good chunk of the film's budget on the effects, and they look fantastic, especially on a big screen, but it's too bad they couldn't create an adequate story to go along with them. So if you have Transformers films getting nominated for Best Visual Effects and they only have like 18% ratings on Rotten Tomatoes or ratings in the 20s, then why not Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets? And then finally, I believe the fifth nominee will be War for the Planet of the Apes. I think that's a given because the first two films were nominated in this category for the motion capture and CGI work that was done of having to transform Andy Serkis and all the other actors who play apes into apes on screen. I don't know if it's going to win because neither of the first two won, but then again, they were in some pretty tight competition those years, with the first one losing to Hugo and the second one losing to Interstellar. But it could very well be the front runner this year. I mean, I believe right now it's considered the favorite to win, but given that Star Wars did not win a few years ago for The Force Awakens, like many thought it would, Ex Machina managed to pull off a surprise, shocking win. I could see how some Oscar voters may feel the need to make up for that by giving it to Star Wars The Last Jedi, but who knows at this point, because the Oscar nominations aren't even out, so we can't know who's the frontrunner to win until we know who's actually nominated. Now, the other films, I could possibly see them maybe getting in on some chance, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 or Kong Skull Island. I could see how those could probably make it in. And at first I was thinking of Dunkirk, but then people were pointing out to me that Christopher Nolan did most of it with practical effects, and he also did that with Interstellar, but then again, Interstellar is a science fiction movie, and Dunkirk is a historical World War II drama, so I don't know how much CGI was used in Dunkirk, so I don't know if that will hurt its chances or not. Maybe, I guess Dunkirk would be my 6th place nominee if I could create a 6th place. And maybe possibly Alien Covenant could sneak in here too, given that the first two Alien films were nominated and won, and Prometheus was nominated, but it lost a lot to Life of Pi. But so maybe it could continue in that tradition just from the franchise itself. I don't really see Okja getting nominated or Dunkirk, like I said before. But overall, though, I do think at this point the 5 nominees will ultimately be Blade Runner 2049, The Shape of Water, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, and War for the Planet of the Apes. But what do you guys think will be the nominees for Best Visual Effects from this list of semifinalists? And who do you want to be the nominees for Best Visual Effects? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, what films were left off the semifinalist list that you think should have been on here? I'm always curious to hear what you guys think in a situation like this, so please let me know. And also be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not yet already done so you can get all my new videos as soon as they're uploaded. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!